We are several days past the last installment on this video. I mean, it's taken so many different directions, I'm not sure, but we are making progress. We've got the brakes completed, they're bled down, we're ready to put the wheels back on it. What is missing? The radiator is missing. I just got in some panels from my buddy James up at Misfit Fab. Outstanding piece of work, and you're going to see me add a lot of his product to my truck. But we will put in one of the panels today. Number one, I'm just like a kid in a candy store. I'm excited because it's like Christmas. I opened it up, it's exactly what I wanted, it fits perfect, so all we've got to do now is mount it. But we're doing a little bit of detail work. I want to touch it up with some paint. Over the winter time, we're going to take this entire front end apart and back end and nut and bolt it, if you will. There's several things I want to do that's going to help the truck look better. I just don't have the time between now and the end of September to get it all done. So we're going to do a little bit of cleaning up today, going to do a little bit of touch up with some paint, and we're going to get this panel up front mounted. Radiator will be here tomorrow. We may get that put in. It may be towards the middle of the week, but it doesn't matter. Nonetheless, this is Russ Lover's Garage. I'm Jody, and I'm glad you're here. What it lacked in noise, it made up with in vibration, but somewhat effective. All right, now we're going to start to try to mount this thing. Don't suspect it to be very difficult. Tape's not sticking to anything.
Do you need me to hold it?
Good. All right, hold it right there. Not going to do that. Cut it off and let me get the drill ready. Perfect. Let's get one more on that other side over there. As we're doing this, pay attention. I'm using actually two different drills. This is an impact drill, 20 volt. This is just a regular little small 12 volt drill. The reason I'm doing that, this one here's got a lot more torque, and I'm feeling the bit as it's going through the metal. I don't want it to jab through and tear anything up, but I want enough power to cut the hole. When you're doing screws, and these are sheet metal screws, they're not self-tappers, but they are sheet metal screws. They go in easy, then there's a hard spot, and then they'll pull themselves on through. You don't want to have a high torque drill doing that, because it'll snatch real hard, do one of two things. It's either going to jump into what you're working on and mess it up, or it's going to snap the bit off, or snap the screw off. So I'm using two different tools here. I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Anytime you're doing delicate work like that, be sure to use something to get the hole, but back off. You don't want anything really, really strong if you're working on cosmetic parts. especially with sheet metal screws. Just always keep that in mind. No charge for that. Let me get one more put in right here. Got our height right. Okay. All right, as you can see, we got the panel put in place. We've got other panels that we'll be putting underneath the hood, but I've got to do some cleanup and some body working under the hood before we can put those in. But one step closer. Again, we've got the brake system on this thing. Probably going to go ahead and put the wheels on it today. Get everything ready to go. We'll leave it up in the air because we're going to hang that radiator in here, and I may have to get underneath it. It's already jacked up, so we'll leave it that way. But nonetheless, let's take a look at this thing right here. Highly pleased. Again, this is Misfit Fab. I'll have all of James's contact information in the description. You guys hit him up. He makes a quality product. Guy's got an absolutely great imagination, and more importantly, it fits and it looks great. I mean, I could not be happier with this, just like the spoilers we did on the truck earlier last week. So again, you got an F100, hit both these gentlemen up. Again, I'll have their contact information listed, and let's just move on and try to get this thing ready.
Lord.
You got it right where I want it. Well, let's get out. We have now moved the project from inside the shop to outside. If you can see here behind me, there's the hood. It's turned upside down. I've got it sanded down. We're going to wipe it down, get it cleaned up, and get a coat of primer on it, and then we're going to paint underneath it. I'm going with Hot Rod Black. I purchased single stage paint from Summit Racing. Also got their primer to go with it. So we're going to shoot that underneath, get that cure out, because as you saw earlier in the video, we put a front panel from Misfit Fab on the front end there in front of the radiator support. I've got two other panels that I'm going to put, but we got to get it painted, let the paint dry. So you guys come on around here and let's take a look and see what we got. As you can see, some of the paint's kind of thin, and there's this thing was painted back in the late 70s, I think, and it's just been collecting whatever's thrown its way between now and then. But we've got it sanded down. I'm not going for a perfect finish. Obviously, the truck's not perfect by any means, but nonetheless, you see what we're working with. So at this point, we're going to mix up some primer and see if we can't make it look a little bit better. Before we get started, let me show you exactly what we're using. To clean up and to wipe down, I'm using lacquer thinner there. There is the primer that I got from Summit, and also the single stage paint. One thing you'll probably find if you go to your local paint supply house, automotive supply house, single stage things, they don't really carry much in the way of a quart. I've got a guy locally I really like to use, but he didn't have it available. It was only in a gallon. I may need a gallon down the road, but I don't have real good success keeping this stuff alive past the day of the use. So I got a small quantity in this case. Of course, we've got our mixing cups, got our cleanup bottle, got a filter, an inline filter to go in behind my spray guns. This particular spray gun is a Harbor Freight. Nozzle tip here is a 188. It's the same one that I used to lay down the metal flake on the boat. And then, of course, I've got the Eastwood HVLP gun. Again, I'm still very impressed with this thing. You can see what the talk that I give about using this gun in that same video with the boat from a year or so back. Great gun. Still very much impressed with this piece. So we're going to start putting all these pieces together and start blowing some primer here in just a second. Okay, I've got our paint mixed up. Again, this is hot rod black or satin black. It's Summit's brand. I'll put all the information in the description here along with their reducer. And mix ratio on this is a 4-to-1. Again, guys, I'm not a painter, I'm not a body man, but can do enough to get by with what I want to do with the cars that we work on. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and spray in and get our first coat on. Okay, we have got one coat of paint on the hood. It's going to go out in satin black or maybe flat black, I don't know. Did not spend a lot of time on this thing really trying to slick it up because there's no need. If you notice this area right here and then the corresponding one on the other side, we've actually got panels from Misfit Fab to match the piece that we've already put on. We've got those here in the house, and once this thing dries out, we're going to put those on. Big picture, sometime next year, we're going to put the centerpiece in. And if you guys do not know who James is at Misfit Fab, look him up. He's all over Facebook and YouTube, and I'll sing his praises because he did me a heck of a job on what I need for my truck. But more importantly, we're going to, the center section here, we're going to have it covered with a panel. So I'm not going to body work this thing down that much because you're not going to see that much of it anyway. I'd much rather you see his handiwork. But we've got it done. Get another coat of paint on it here in just a little bit. And then once it dries out, we're going to be able to set it on here and get it loaded because tomorrow afternoon we'll make a trip about 45 minutes away to a front end shop. We're going to get the radius arm bushings replaced because they're worn, and also get it lined up. And we'll talk a little bit more about the front end shop in this video a little bit later on, because when you're dealing with these Fords, there's a certain type of front end shop that you should be going to if you're going to leave your I-beams in, whether they be drop spindles, whether you cut your springs and do the thing that I did to mine, whatever the case may be. But if those I-beams are in there and you're not going to do that Crown Vic swap, there is a particular type of front end shop that you need to be looking for. We'll get into that a little bit later, but we're going to let it cure out, get us a bite of lunch, and be back with you here in just a little while. We've made it back in the shop. As you can tell, we've got underneath the hood painted, detailed out, got the panels put in place on the hood that matches the radiator support. Again, we've got the distributor set in, timing's everything set, so we're ready to roll. The only issue that we've got right now, and try to get around here, the back brake line that we've got coming in right here is leaking, and I think it's just a difference between the seats. Line's fine. I think that we just got to come up with a little bit different adapter because the seats are cut different. So we'll get that figured out tomorrow and be on our way to the front end shop.